Episode 252 of the TV Dudes, recorded September 18th, 2019. Based on true events. Gentlemen, we're talking about 3 shows this week. All of them based on a true story in some way. One of them is happening now, I guess. It's not quite based on a true story.
Well, you always know when you're into that kind of TV because you just find yourself constantly like looking up stuff on the internet while you're watching.
Yeah, running on the
Did
Wikipedia.
this really happen?
Yeah, I definitely was doing Spy. I was like, wait, this is real, right? So we're talking about Spy over on Netflix. We're talking about season 2 of Chef over on Netflix. And we're talking about Wu-Tang, An American Tale, An American Story?
Oh, I messed this up earlier.
Wu-Tang,
Saga.
An American Saga.
That's true.
Nice.
I say American Tale. Yeah, I was like Fievel's in this? All right.
Is Fievel's in the Wu-Tang? I don't know a lot about the Wu-Tang Clan. Is Fievel one of the Wu-Tang Clan? You know?
No.
So we're talking about Wu-Tang Clan and American Saga over on Hulu. And before we get too deep into it, we are the TV Dudes. I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And with us, we got a special guest.
Hey, it's Korey. I don't know how to introduce
What's
myself.
up?
Korey, welcome aboard.
Hey.
We're recording from the lovely Permanent Record Studios here in Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. And so let's jump right into it. And I believe we decided we're going to start with Spy.
Yeah, so just short and simple, this is the based on a true story life and times of Eli Cohen.
Ellie Cohen.
Ellie Cohen?
They pronounce it differently. Like these names that I thought it was Eli. It's Ellie.
They're saying
And
Ellie?
I think maybe it's an Israeli pronunciation kind of thing.
Interesting.
Because he is an Israeli spy.
I'm always amazed by Sacha Baron Cohen's ability to punk people like this. Like, he's got this entire television crew sure that he's an actor in a drama. And at some point, they're going to, like, see Borat and be like, oh, my God, that's the guy we've been working with.
He just waits till the last day of shooting and just starts rubbing his dick on
It's
everything.
a sitcom.
He did it again.
We're not going to let you
amazing.
finish this. But no, so this is kind of, he's an Israeli spy, and this is based off a guy in real life. And what he was done is he was kind of like brought up really slow, like a lot of these other spy tales, and made his way in with government officials within Syria, and then worked his way up all the way to
Defense Minister.
Minister of Defense.
The
Yeah.
Deputy Defense Minister, which is crazy. And it deals with he like has a wife at home, and she gets pregnant basically right as he goes in this deep cover assignment. Mm-hmm. And it sort of looks at what's going on with his family. He's recruited in by a handler played by Noah Emmerich.
Yeah.
Who is sort of dealing with guilt over his last spy getting killed really brutally in Syria, I think.
I think he also has some guilt from bad accent as well.
I like Noah Emmerich in this.
Oh, no, I like him too, but I'm like, just do an American accent. It's fine. Like, you can be the one person who doesn't have to have an Israeli accent right now.
So this is a 6-episode show, and I found it really compelling. I thought this was – and Sacha Baron Cohen's amazing in this.
So I only watched the first episode, and I really dug it, but is the whole thing just completely desaturated?
Yeah, it's got that look.
Is it like a Chernobyl in black and white?
No. So half of it is. So everything in Israel is desaturated like that. Almost looks
Right.
like a black and white
You're right,
movie.
yeah.
But whenever he goes to Syria or he's in South, whenever he leaves, it's in full color. And I think we can kind of get into this more in a minute. But the whole time I'm looking at that color thing, and I'm like, what are they trying to say with this?
Yeah. It may just be a visual cue to make sure you know when we're seeing him
When you're
out
in
in
one
the
life and
field.
when you're in the other.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because usually when you use something like that, it's like if it's in black and white, it's flashing back. So
Yeah,
when it's
exactly.
that, so it's like, is it a time thing or is it just him?
It kind of is. I mean, in a way, it's all a flashback because it opens with what I would consider the biggest spoiler, which is him giving his confession in Syria after being caught to a rabbi.
Oh, and he has
And
been tortured.
His fingernails are ripped out. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
like it is clear from the outset, this dude is not successful
Yeah.
at being a spy in the end.
The first, and he says nothing, and the guy, there's a guy in there talking to him, and then he ends with, sign your name. You even know who you are?
Yeah.
And he says it kind of in that tone, like, oh shit, you don't even know your name.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I don't know that I would have. I mean, I guess anyone could have looked up on Wikipedia or whatever who Ellie Cohen was and know his bad end. But I don't know that I would have started with that. I thought that was an interesting choice.
Well, so I feel so. What happens in this show is it's all about his transformation. First, from being kind of somebody who doesn't make a lot of money, doesn't get a lot of respect, but is definitely around a ton of people with money and respect and all these things he wants, and he sees this as a big opportunity to kind of like step up in life, but. The biggest problem with that is this alternate identity that he has. This is a rich person.
Yeah.
This person who has cool stuff.
Throws the biggest parties.
I mean, is like freaking the Great Gatsby pretty much. I love everything that he wanted,
I love that idea. We're used to seeing spies that are basically either like James Bond, suave, debonair, men of mystery, or the more realistic spies like the Americans that are basically scraping by –
Jason Bourne.
Blend in.
Yeah. The notion of this guy is he owns like a textiles factory. He is rich. He throws parties. Like he is a rich dude who no one would suspect of being a spy because he's so public. It was such, and the reason he's got all his money is because he's funded by the Israeli government and they just give him the money.
Exactly.
But it's such an interesting, I don't think I've seen that particular thing done. I've usually seen like The Night Manager, where the guy was like a hotel manager and then makes his way into being a spy, or The Americans, where they're like Russian peasants who are trained to be spies. Like the notion of seeing this guy who is like basically, like you say, a Gatsby dude who's like got a factory and is out there making business stuff work and moving in the highest levels of government. It's such a public facing to be a spy.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like none of the Syrian people, like none of his friends there are asking him hard-hitting questions.
No.
But when he goes back to his family, they're like, name one restaurant you went to when you were on your business trip. And he's like, I don't know. Let's talk about something else.
Syrian place,
With the Syrian food, yes.
And one of the things I really like too is when they're when he's doing the thing about like going and making connections, he'll go and when he's trying to get information out of the country, the first thing he does, he buys like a furniture factory and he's sending this furniture out all over the world. Nobody suspects that the newspapers he's wrapping the furniture in is the daily Syrian newspaper, which is gold to Israeli intelligence. And it's just packing material to everybody else. So they're getting it. There's a great scene, I think, in episode 4 where he buys all these these vases, and they're just the guy in Zurich who's like his contact is smashing every one of them and looking for whatever's inside. And the last one, his wife's like, no. She opens it, pulls the paper out. She's like, this one's mine.
That was another really interesting part of the story was this halfway house that he has. Yeah. Where essentially he's Ellie Cohen. He goes to a place where he changes into the clothes and everything. And when he leaves it, he is the other identity.
It's Kamel.
Kamel, yeah. I kept forgetting that name.
Yeah.
But he leaves as Kamel. And, oh, my God, they do something. Because the whole story is kind of, him shifting into the new identity.
Yeah.
And, in the very first episode, you see him just hesitating, taking off his outfit and, he's got little trinkets and things. And by the last episode, they leave that room and he's just thrown his Ellie clothes down
he's
to
Kamel.
the ground.
By that time, he's Kamel,
Which is back to what you were saying before, where you start the show, he's going to get caught, he's going to get tortured. And I think they tell you that because when he gets to that point where he goes back for the last time, it was too good to be true. When he got the offer to be defense minister, that was your point where it's like, no, they're going to look at you closer.
Yeah, you need to not do this.
Yeah, a million things could have gone wrong besides the thing that did go wrong. But I think he knew the whole time. He was like, if I go back, I'll die. But if I stay here, I'll never be the big shot again. I'll never be Kamel.
I think you're right. I think that he disappeared so effectively in the identity. Yeah.
But if I can go on further, I don't think Ellie Cohen or Kamel was the identity that he actually wanted to have. I think there was actually a third identity, which was
Batman.
Well, about to say, this sounds like Batman if he was funded by the state.
Actually, it's like Bruce Wayne funded by the state.
It is, it totally is,
but no, the notes that he sends with his wife, the Ellie, like where he signs the notes, kind of shorthand, he's constantly having like these fantasies about being with his wife. And it's funny because he decompartmentalizes not only being a spy from being a husband, but kind of his everyday life with being a husband. Like he's totally different with his wife than he is with his coworkers, the people at the party we see him at. And, there's this great moment when it's not really spoiling the end, but, he signs the letter in the first episode.
Yeah.
Just Ellie, like when he can't remember his name, it's just what he used to sign on the notes.
Right.
And I think the whole time that's all he wanted. But, he's seduced by, like, the power and the money and
Professor Hulk. That's what he really wants.
This reminded me a lot of things I like Night Manager and The Americans, where it's like I love the old school. It's set in the 70s or the 80s. But it's old school spycraft. So there's like he uses Morse code to communicate. And I really like the way they do that, where like he taps out the Morse code and the words appear on the screen.
Oh, that's one of the coolest things about the show.
And they do that with like his notes too. When he writes a note, the note appears.
Really great motion graphics. Like not only is the typography animated in this cool way where it starts as like either a dot or a line with the Morse code, but then they got like cool textures and like effects on it. Like it looks like a radio signal, but it's letters popping up on the screen.
And I just love the old school spycraft stuff. Like there's his camera is a camera. He doesn't have a digital camera. He doesn't have a phone. So he's got to sneak into places and take pictures. When he's in a military base, he's really risking getting caught. He's got a little camera on him. If anybody sees him carrying that camera, there's no way you can explain it away.
You could have made a drinking game of it if you're binging the series. Like every time he's in a room taking pictures of documents and you can hear people in the other room that are going to come in any second now. Like take a drink.
I really love this.
I'm right there with you.
I definitely think that people should give it a shot.
And I think the performance from Sacha Baron Cohen,
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, you're like, we wouldn't be talking about it this way if he didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
But I think it is just, you got to point out like this. There's nothing funny about it. Like this is played completely serious, and he delivers just a really stellar performance.
Yeah. And okay, so let's switch over to. Just a quick amuse-bouche, I guess.
See, I was really surprised that with Chef, you talk about an odd choice and how to start out Spy, beginning with his friend figuring out that Favreau's not a real chef, and all his fingernails pulled out, and like, you don't even know your name. It was a weird start. Weird start to a cooking show.
I didn't see that. I guess I skipped credits. I guess I shouldn't have.
This is why the skip intro thing is bullshit.
Yeah, never use the skip intro. I did not even see Favreau get his fingernails pulled out. Yeah.
Speaking of skipping intro, and I feel like I'm killing the bit by saying something serious, but oh my gosh, the title sequence for this show, like the little stop motion animation that he does, I love. It's the same one from
food truck
driver,
season
El Jefe truck. Yeah.
Yep.
So everybody here has seen the Chef movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, Korey, you haven't seen the Chef show?
None of it at all.
All right.
Yeah.
And unless
I've
you've
seen like one or two of the first season.
Okay, and you and I, Kyle, season 2 just started.
Yeah, so I'm all the way through season 1, and then I did the first Seth Rogen episode in season 2.
Yeah, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I watched the Seth Rogen episode, and the next one they would go to like a pizzeria in L.A., which is really interesting.
Oh, never mind. I saw that one too.
And that was really good. I'm looking forward to catching the rest
quick,
of it.
Like, you just get stuck watching these, and you're like, well, I went through the whole series?
So basically the
The
show
Robert
is...
Rodriguez one with the pizzas. That's one I saw. I saw that one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
So it's basically Jon Favreau who learned how to cook on Chef and learned how to do these basically, in addition to like learning to cook for the movie, clearly learned some skills. Mm-hmm. Like they show him cooking, and he knows how to cook.
Yeah, I think he was interested in it beforehand, and then his whole conceit with making the movie is he wanted to make a more realistic chef movie, like an Anthony Bourdain realism with his film.
Yeah, yeah. So it's him and Roy Choi, who was like his mentor and his famous chef, going around to basically cook for or entertain or learn things from their famous friends, a lot of whom are restaurateurs. Season 1 has a bit where they sit down with the Marvel Cinematic Universe guys and they just they talk about the MCU and they cook food for them and that kind of thing. And it's an interesting intersection because Favreau, of course, was the originator of the MCU in a lot of ways.
And Choi's real life is essentially the Chef movie, right?
Yeah,
like he was working at legit restaurants and then went out on his own and did the food truck thing.
Basically created the food truck scene in LA, so this season 2, it seems like more of the same. They bring in Seth Rogen and they're cooking a bunch of Korean food.
And here's the big sell for this show, and it's something I noticed watching HGTV and Bravo Network. There's like a way that you can do this. So the way that HGTV does it is they will replay clips over and over again.
Yeah.
All right. So imagine like one shot of the burger and you just see that shot 20 times, but they're doing different voiceover each time. Mm-hmm. Bravo will constantly cut to like somebody off screen who's like narrating the incident, where it's like more just, talking heads, like talking about the episode and less episode. Mm-hmm. What these guys do is they show you cooking.
Yeah.
Like you get to see all the prep time. And the thing is, there's usually some pretty good banter going on, but there's like no excuse when you watch one of these episodes to not know how to do one of these recipes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's a key moment in season 1 where they're making the beignets. And the beignets clearly turned out badly. Let's talk about this when we talk about it. And he's like giving them a look like, are we going to cut? What's going on? And he's like, no, man, we show it. It didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember the moment when Food Network was first getting big in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I had a roommate that just started obsessively watching Food Network, and Emeril was bamming everything.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where I realized, son of a bitch, he's got a second oven with a completely cooked whatever we're doing already in it. So that like, and then we put this in the oven for 300 degrees, blah, blah, blah. And then he just literally opens the door next to it, pulls a finished one out. And I'm like, where the fuck did that come from?
Now, you're assuming that Emerald doesn't have time travel powers.
Right?
Or he's a witch.
Yeah,
And
Emerald could be a witch.
there was a moment where I realized like all these ramekins and shit are full of chopped up stuff that like someone else prepped all of. He just reaches over and grabs like the perfect amount of stuff in a ceramic bowl, and it's clean and perfect, and that's what all or most cooking shows looked like for the longest time. And I'm still not the world's biggest cooking show fan or anything, but I like that about Chef that. This really feels like friends. This feels like camaraderie. Yeah. Granted, these are super famous people, but these are clearly people that Favreau really knows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, hanging out at Robert Rodriguez's house when Favreau does not look excited about that cauliflower pizza. And Rodriguez is like, I'm going to blow your mind, man. It's going to be great. Like, it's a moment where you wouldn't see on,
Man, I agree.
Well, comparing it to like other Food Network shows and like HGTV and things like that, where they usually do difficult things that you're never gonna like. I don't know where to get truffles, like white truffles, rare truffle, like truffle pigs and everything. I don't know where to get that. But like, does the Chef show deal with more like things where you can just kind of go out to HEB or whatever grocery store you're near and pick out the ingredients and do it yourself, or is it complex stuff? To
some extent, yes. They mix and match. So like in the Korean food episode they're making with Seth Rogen, the first thing they make is this sort of chicken and veggie dish that Roy Choi grew up making. And one of the things they do when they do the recipes, they show the truck coming in animation. They cut to the inside, and they show an exploded view, like the truck hits a bump, and whatever the dish is explodes out, and it labels every piece, it labels every ingredient.
And what's brilliant about this is it's perfect for you to just take a picture with your cell phone real quick, and then now you have like all the ingredients of the recipe.
You don't have the measurements and everything, but you got the basic idea. And the first thing they make is this thing. It's like a sauce. And the sauce has like 60 ingredients.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm never going to make that. I'm never going to be that ambitious. Well, but then they do like the fried chicken, and it's like 6 ingredients. Mm-hmm. So there's a mix and match. It's like some stuff that's like, okay, hardcore chefs make this, and some stuff like the pizza episode where they're at the Pizzana in LA. They've got their wood fired oven. Mm-hmm. Pretty clearly, they're going to like, okay, I don't have this wood fired oven. I can't feel the temperature like the chef does, but the basics of what they're doing, I get.
Can I talk about that pizza episode for a second? Yeah. Have any of you guys read the Anthony Bourdain? I think he's probably got multiple books, but that first one he did, Kitchen Confidential.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. So, I forget the guy's name, but it's like, let's say his name's Gary. It's like Gary, real last name unknown, the bread maker.
The bread guy,
That's all I could think of. They bring out like the yeast that they're going to feed. Yeah. And the second he brought out that big bread bowl, I was like, feed the bitch! Feed the bitch! Feed the bitch! It's like, no, you got to come in tonight. No, man, I can't. You got to feed the bitch for me. It's like, don't do this.
Totally. Making the dough was really interesting.
Yeah, and it's funny because in that one, you're talking about simple versus complex recipes. Mm-hmm. That was probably the simplest recipe we saw, but I guarantee none of us
couldn't do it.
Can do this bread that this guy did.
Yeah, there's definitely something where they show it's an interesting balancing act of like, this is totally approachable. Like I can see the ingredients, I see you do it, but clearly you have an expertise in blending these. Where if I try to do it with these ingredients, it's not going to come out the same way.
Right.
Yeah. But it does what a good cooking show should do, which is it makes me want to cook, and it definitely makes me want to eat.
I love in season 1 they had, I think it might have been the last episode, but they had to cook a shitload of spare ribs. I mean, like hundreds of plates. So they're making the marinade, and they're literally doing buckets and buckets of marinade. Yeah. So, I mean, they're blending up like pitchers, dumping it in the bucket. And it was just cool to see like, if I had to make 1,000 short rib plates for somebody, how would I do it? Yeah. And they walk you through the whole thing, gallons and gallons of soy sauce.
Yeah, the industrial size of all the recipes is interesting. Yeah. If you liked the Chef movie and you like the cooking scenes in that, this is exactly that, but it's like without the narrative aspect of it. It is just like, here's what it looks like when chefs are like with each other. They're not trying to impress anyone else. They're just like, this is what we do. We're cooking. It is weird. Like Seth Rogen doesn't belong. He learned He had a cooking movie that I've never seen where he talks about learning to bone a chicken.
That was a bit in a
Not
movie,
have sex with it.
and it got cut out. And I forget what the movie is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a movie that Seth Rogen was in, and he played a chicken chef.
Yeah.
So he learned all these ways to cook chicken, and then they're like, we're going to cut that bit out.
So he's like, yeah, it never showed up on screen. They're like, well, we're going to see your chicken skills here, and they chop up whole chickens, and it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. I think this is a great show, and it's one of those shows that I can put on in the background and like half watch. Mm-hmm. And I dig it for that.
I also think it's probably far easier to make than most of Jon Favreau's movies. And yeah, it's just like a walk in the park. So he's like, oh yeah, let's set the cameras up. Let's do a season of this.
Right.
I feel like in the 90s or the 2000s, this would have been one episode of this would have been a bonus on the DVD.
Yeah, for sure.
For the Chef movie. Mm-hmm. And that would have been all you'd seen.
Yeah.
They'd have made one episode of it, and you'd been like, weird, why'd they make that?
Well, Robert Rodriguez does all that on his, like, Sin City.
Oh, yeah.
Remember for a while there on all his Blu-rays, he would have, or Blu-rays and DVDs, he would have these extras of him cooking at his house. Like,
yes,
Sin City, he did the, like, Sin City breakfast tacos where he, like, made fresh tortillas and shit.
We'd be installing Windows 95 and be like, why is there this episode of this on this install disc? Like, what the shit?
Well, Bill Burr in season 1 said his favorite part of the Chef movie was when the credits roll, you get to see what's Cho's first name?
Roy Choi.
Roy Choi. Roy Choi doing the grilled cheese, where he's like obsessing over the grilled cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he goes, "That was my favorite scene in the movie." He's watching you make that grilled cheese.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our final show, which is Wu-Tang and American Saga over on Hulu.
Yes.
I was going to skip this week because I figured you guys were all on top of it. And then I got a little time to watch this morning, and I watched like half an hour of it. And now I'm really mad at myself for not watching more because, man, this looks great.
Randy, you had said that you don't have a whole lot of experience with the Wu-Tang in general, right?
I know the Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Agreed.
Good so far.
So far. Honestly, if you only know one thing.
I figured that's lesson one, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I know bits and pieces. I know the RZA from stuff that he's, the movie stuff he's done. Mm-hmm. I've heard some of the Wu-Tang stuff. I know some of the I know like Ghostface Killah. I know Old Dirty Bastard.
Method Man
Method Man. Like I hear all these names, but if you asked me to name a track, I couldn't name one.
So I had a roommate when I first moved down to Austin in college that over the course of a summer, like I didn't smoke pot at the time or anything. It was the first like real stoner I think that I'd ever lived with. He went home to like Iowa for a weekend and took our bills with him. Mm-hmm. So like we almost like none of us. It was the 90s. Like,
not in a good way. He didn't take your bills and pay them.
it was in like hey man, somebody needs to pay the light bill and none of us know the account number. Fuckwit. And there were no cell phones. It was bad.
Yeah.
But he would sit out on our shared balcony and do bong rips and just go off on 30 or 45-minute rants about the numerology in Wu-Tang lyrics.
Oh, Jesus.
And like how dense and nutty and shit and that's how I've got into Wu-Tang. Like, because he won me over on like, no man, you got to listen to this. Really listen to this.
It's insane. I mean, it's from like 5%er stuff and numerology thing. So they're like, oh yeah, their first album's Enter the 36 Chambers, and then they're like, well, there's 9 members of the Wu-Tang Clan, and 3 + 6 is 9, and there's 9 planets, and then 9 divided by. You're like, Jesus Christ.
You're high as balls, man. It's nuts.
So have you also seen where people have compared the amount of individual words that William Shakespeare has used in all of his writing? Mm-hmm. So like obviously you use the a lot in sentences, so that only counts as one word. So you take all the individual words, all right, and it's this crazy number. Yeah. Then they put like musical artists on there, and I always get them confused. There's A$AP Rocky and who's the white? Like, is one of them a white guy?
And where? Eminem?
No, A$AP.
No.
There's
so there's like one person who is higher than like all the members of the Wu-Tang Clan, but like Wu-Tang Clan together is like 9th, and then each member individually, or like half of them, fill like the 8 through like 4 spot.
Yeah.
On like having just individual words that they've used like in written art that they've produced.
Okay. Machine Gun Kelly, the white rapper. A$AP Rock. Oh, okay, gotcha.
He has the most for some reason.
Well, he's been rapping forever.
It may not necessarily be the song you want to listen to, but the lyric content's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the Wu-Tang is similar. Like I always liked them as a group, and I always had to applaud they're a who's who of rappers, but they're all one group. The scope and scale of them breaking apart, doing solo albums and it all actually working was astonishing to me. Like I was working at a record store when they did their like split, all got individual record deals at other fucking labels. It wasn't like they were all just like Bad Boys Crew or something. You know, they weren't all on the same label. It was bizarre and unheard of at the time. And then all of those albums friggin' hit. Like Raekwon's album was amazing and Ghostface Killer's album was amazing. Like Method and Red went on to have the Method Red show.
Yeah, that's right.
And do How High, which I have seen a disturbing number of times. It was a weird bonding experience. I realized my dad had How High DVR'd.
Oh, wow.
I was like, did you do that on purpose? He's like, yeah, that movie's great. I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah. So when this series came out on Hulu, I was really stoked that they were going to, that RZA was going to basically retell their story. To me, they have always been this group that really kind of showed me that you could reinvent yourself, refine your own story, decide what you wanted to do that is not something that you're allowed to do from where you come from. These kids weren't supposed to. I mean, they were supposed to sell blue tops or red tops or whatever, crack vial till they all got fucking shot. That was how it was supposed to go. And instead, they decided they were something else, wrote this entirely new story where they were like superhero rap gods, and we all just went along with it. The story was solid enough that the whole nation went, yeah, man, Bobby Digital. Fuck yeah, RZA, he's the shit.
I don't know what's going on.
I just went with it.
There's some weird kung fu sounds happening, and then there's a cool beat, and there's some crazy rap, and I'm on.
And so watching it on Hulu, when they dropped those first 3 episodes, even though I'm glad they don't rush through it like Notorious, the movie, like it's not like within the first 3 episodes suddenly like boom, they're doing shows and they know what they're going to do. There's still a like, this is dumb. I shouldn't spend $1,200 on this. Or
I almost feel like that the story ends when they get their superpower, which is fame and notoriety and money. And I feel like part of what makes the story so compelling is it's like, oh, I know this is the origin. I know they're going to get – I keep saying superpowers because in a lot of ways it kind of feels like a superhero origin story. But it's like I know one day like they're going to be there, and it's just so interesting like seeing who, you know.
And watching it take a while to get all of them. It's not like every member went, yes, rap, let's do it. Like you watch 3 of them decide to join in on a track and do something cool. Like in the 3rd or 4th, I think like 4th episode, they have a moment where he's got the sequencer and then they're not having time issues with this. He's like, we should do this track. You jump in, then you jump in, then you jump in. And one guy's like, I'm out.
Man, this shit is whack. I'm like, like, this is how it would be.
You're not going to get all your friends.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, with them, for anybody that hasn't seen the show, some people are from the neighborhood that they're in, or the island that they're on, Staten Island, but then there's neighborhood factions in Staten Island. There's Park Hill, and then there's Stapleton. And so, like, half of the crew are from Stapleton, the other half are from Park Hill, and then there's some friends that are in Brooklyn. And so all of them come together because they're cool with RZA, Bobby Digital, the main character in the show. And he comes in, and it's just like, all right, I got to find a way to make sure you're not trying to kill your friend. I got to make sure you're not in jail. I got to make sure you're not, crippled somewhere.
So that's interesting because like I said, I've only seen the first half, and the first thing I see is that there's a drive-by with 2 characters who I guess are both going to be, in together.
The same group, yeah.
And it's like, it seems impossible. Like, this guy, there's these kids that almost got killed. He thought his mom got shot. And
that was intense.
There's all this shit, and I'm like, oh man, they're gonna have to come together over this. I can't wait to see how that happens.
Yeah, it feels like a hood Game of Thrones, and I can't wait to see how it evolves. Because I mean, from somebody that kind of, I'm not gonna say I grew up with the Wu-Tang Clan, like they popped up in the early '90s, and I was still a little afraid of a lot of rap at that time because I was a kid, and they were talking about shooting each other, and I didn't think that was fun. And so like I kind of around when their later albums came out, when they were all doing their big solo projects. I said, okay, let me find out more about these guys. And RZA wrote a couple of books and did the movies and everything. And I read some of the books. And even after like doing all this like research and watching some of the other documentaries that they have, I didn't know a lot of the stuff that's happening in this show.
Same.
Yeah. So you're like,
I didn't know how interconnected they were like that.
Yeah, I just knew like they were from the same island. Some of them had issues, and then they worked it out. But this one is like, no, this person shot at this person's house, and then this person got busted for doing this. You're like, oh wow.
Yeah, watching one of them wander off with the gun that was used to shoot at his house by someone else earlier.
Yeah.
And you're just watching one person stand in the room and like, I can't say anything. Fuck.
Well, another thing is whenever you see these shots of them on the street, they love to shoot this angle where you see all the characters, but you have like a perfect view if like a car was to come down the street. And there's not a lot of drive-by scenes, at least in the episodes we've seen so far, but I'll be damned if you don't feel like every time they're hanging out on a street corner, like at any minute, like somebody's going to come by and light shit up.
Right.
The kid that's walking out after messing with the Italians, leave the gun, take the canola. And gets killed on the sidewalk immediately. And it's such a shocking, like, oh, shit.
Well,
and then I loved they do the weird effect thing.
The video game thing.
Yeah, so I think it's the start of the next episode after that shocking, crazy-ass event happens. And they start with, I thought they were just really going to rewind it because I was with you, Korey. Is this a part of the research I missed? Like, I don't know who this dude is. Does he die? And they rewound it, and he does die. They don't take it back. It's real, but I love that they show... They get you used to the kind of idea that's starting to go through Bobby's head, that's starting to go through Riz's head of like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to get shot on the sidewalk like that. Or I can do music, and they do like a goofy little video game overlay where he keeps leveling up with music. And like beating mini bosses with music. And I thought that was cool. I think they do that in like the third or fourth episode.
It's also kind of interesting, too, because when, like, the Wu-Tang music that I've listened to, like, there's all these references to these kung fu movies. And it's almost like, what's that line from Straight Outta Compton where it's like, my art is a reflection of my reality. It's like they're understanding their reality through, like, video games, comic books, kung fu movies.
Anime.
Yeah.
They were rap nerds. Like, I mean, let's be honest. Like,
nerds,
like you see it, from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, they're just gangsters coming from New York and they're scary. But like, if you listen to all this stuff, they're like, oh, they're like just nerds and they're great at math. So they're super nerds.
Well, when you look at, Riz's big movie was the kung fu,
the Man with the Iron Fist.
Man with the Iron Fist. Yeah, I mean, that's a total nerd movie. That's a kung fu nerd movie. Yeah. And you're right. That totally informs it.
And then doing Shaolin is like and then the Wu-Tang, like all that stuff is from old kung fu flicks, and then they sample kung fu songs in movies all throughout their music.
Oh, can I pull a quote? I wrote this one down. It was so good. One of their like ants or something describes music nowadays is just nasty ass nursery rhymes on top of somebody else's song.
That's great.
So Hulu dropped 3 of these at once, which got me hooked, and now it's coming out once a week, and I think I'm one behind because I think one dropped today.
Yeah, one came out today. I watched that one.
So how deep are we in? Is it?
It's 5 episodes.
5. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
and I don't feel like it's moving slow. I mean, we watch a lot of slow burn shows, everything on AMC, but I do feel like it's doling it out at a great pace. Like, I'm really enjoying the amount of time I'm getting to spend with these characters, and I'm just now on the cusp of like, cool. Now I want to hear. I want the music to progress a hair, but I'm with Kyle. Like, I know the ending of this is them hitting them on top of the world.
So
and I don't want it to get there yet. Like, take its time.
That brings me to a question. Is this a mini-series, or is this a thing where they could decide to do a season 2?
I think they're doing multiple seasons.
Okay.
Because from what you see in like at the end of the first episode, they show like, oh, this season on Wu-Tang and American Saga, and everything you see there, they don't really have like their names. You don't really hear anybody say Method Man or Raekwon or like all these people's names. So I'm thinking the first season is going to be them getting up to it. They finally all get signed. Then the second season is them at the pinnacle. They're doing great. They're all doing their solo things. And then they'll do probably like a third or fourth season where it's everything falling apart, ODB dying, and things like that. So I think the arc is going to go that way.
I hope they get all 3. That would be great. I would love to see multiple seasons.
One of the things I like about this, because Kyle, you mentioned Straight Outta Compton, which I'm not a big biopic fan in general, but I love Straight Outta Compton. And what I think is interesting here is that Straight Outta Compton had to, by its nature, be a little bit compressed because that's a 2.5 hour movie. I love the idea of like exploring this across multiple seasons. You can really sort of dig into the characters and build them all up, and especially the Wu-Tang Clan is such an expansive story. I think that it requires that to tell.
There's you haven't gotten there yet, Randy, and I don't want to spoil it, but there's a hugely significant moment for Dennis, one of the characters in the 4th episode, I believe, that is a gut punch and really showed me what the show could do in terms of like, I've seen Notorious, the movie, twice. It's not great.
That's an understatement. So that movie is awful.
It's just so like we're going to change the world, but like God, the lines are so bad. And I would have still watched all of these episodes of the Wu-Tang show if it had been exactly like that. Yeah. Honest to God, I'd have at least seen it fucking once. But the moment that happens to this character, it's real and huge and powerful and caught me off guard. And I was like, all right, this show can move through that and then jump over to awkward puppy love flirting between two characters and that work.
Yeah.
Like, they have another character walk through the room, like, how long has that been going on? What? And like just bust them on. Like it really plays well with these character dynamics and does some really great flashback film stock overlay kind of stuff. Like there's a subtlety and a sureness to the direction that the show could have been 100% more sloppy, and I'd have still watched it. I'm really impressed with how good it is.
Also, the obvious thing here is they got the guys who did the music for Luke Cage.
Is that
Yes.
what's going on?
This is a very wise decision.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like you notice that, and then you hear like 90s rap going on. I think in the second or third episode, they bring in other rappers like Eric B and Rakim, and they talk about people like Melly Mel and them blowing up. But another thing I thought was really cool in this show is that I honestly don't know who a lot of the people are just from like looking at them. Like, okay, I know like Method Man is a giant, and you know his voice, and you know RZA, and you know the like certain ones. But it took me a while to figure out Dennis was Ghostface. It took me a while to figure out Sean was Raekwon.
Yeah,
so
I
like,
didn't know.
I thought Jason.
That was my Wikipedia. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm kind of along for the mystery. And then like one of the characters who I thought was a member was one of the ones that got shot. So I was like, wait, did he live through this? Like, what's going on?
And then when they rewound it, I was like, well, I honestly don't know now.
Yeah.
Well, and you got to ask yourself, are they pulling a Tarantino? Is this like a retelling of where they all die in this?
But yeah, man, it's a really, really fun show. And then it's also a very dramatic show. Like you said, you'll have one moment where somebody's on death's door, and then the next moment ODB is just trying to get a nut. And you're just like, all right, like I'm along for this.
Oh, bro, you like rapping? I can rap. And yeah, that's definitely one of the characters where you know immediately.
Unmistakable.
Like, there's no question of like, I don't think that's Raekwon. I think that's ODB.
That's you, God.
No, when I Googled what ODB looked like back then, I was like, wait, is this the actor? Like, it's identical.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So we did put up for questions, our questions post this week, and we got one big question that is it is one of our we occasionally get these sort of spin a scenario questions. And we got one of those.
Thinky question.
So let me pull that up here. I had it pulled up and then my phone lost it. So
Can I do one more?
I was going to ask why you're looking for that. Getting back to Spy.
Okay.
Does that, like, seeing Sacha Baron Cohen do like a great job with that, make you kind of miss him not doing Freddie Mercury for the Queen movie?
Oh, we talked about this off mic.
We were talking about this at dinner actually.
Okay.
About him. I had no idea that he was up for that instead of.
Randy Malik. He was like the driving force behind it at one point.
And Kyle, you had the story about why he didn't do it, right?
He got on Howard Stern and he said, like, while they were working on it, he's talking to the other guys in the band, and at one of the meetings, they're like, well, you know what the best thing about the movie's going to be is, halfway through the movie, this great thing happens, and he's like, what? And he goes, well, Freddie Mercury dies, and then the rest of the movie's about us, becoming a band. And he was like, that's going to be an awful movie. Your main character dies halfway through. And I wonder if that was kind of like a kick in the butt where like that he backed off then, and now it's like, oh, it's got to get passed around to some other people.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it yet, but I don't think that's what happened in the Rami Malek
No,
one.
and I haven't seen, and I like Rami Malek, but I haven't seen it either. I'm also, again, not a big biopic guy, and I heard kind of rough stuff about it.
It's interesting, and I saw it. I didn't go out to theater to see it. I waited till it came out on home video. And the editing, it should not have won for best editing. I don't know what the hell they were smoking at the Oscars. But I mean, he did a great job as Freddie Mercury.
I can see
then
that,
the cinematography and a lot of the stuff they used at the end to make it look like they were actually playing Live Aid and stuff like that. That was really cool. Yeah.
I saw it in an airplane, and there was enough Queen music to make you awkwardly like. Tap your foot,
okay,
which would just make the rest of the people in an airplane look at you.
So you guys saw it. Do you feel like Sacha Baron Cohen would have improved it? Would have changed it in a good way?
Oh, I've never seen him in a serious role. I've only seen like Borat and then Bruno and then him doing the LAG stuff. So it's just like, all right.
He was in Les Mis.
I mean, he vanishes.
That was kind of a
But he's
silly
like in and out.
character, too.
He's a silly character. So and then like another spy movie he did. But
Talladega Nights. He
God.
was the Perrier.
Yeah. So like I've seen him do goofy roles. I've never
Brothers
seen
Grimsby or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I've never seen him do anything serious. So I mean, like you saying, he was doing this amazing real life person.
Yeah.
Like it makes me wonder how would he have been as Freddie Mercury?
Yeah,
Because honestly, I cannot imagine him as Freddie Mercury. But now I'm thinking like, well, shit, he could vanish into it. I don't know. And it worked.
Yeah,
it would have been a wildly different movie.
Yeah, we may have underestimated Sacha Baron Cohen. Like we all thought he was hilarious, and he does vanish into characters. Like when he's Borat, he's Borat. He is not Sacha Baron Cohen playing, but he is Borat.
Well, and he's talked about that before. There's this big like safety component to it.
Yeah.
So like if you're in that situation and you're doing Borat and somebody's getting really mad at you and violent, he's like, I can't just go, oh hi, I'm an actor. This is a character. Like I have to ride it out, or I could like cause I could get more hurt or whatever.
Yeah. But
make the situation worse.
I don't know that I want to see him as Freddie Mercury, but I do want to see him do more dramatic stuff after this.
I think he also said that he read a lot of the like really crazy drug and sex stories and was like, we have to put these in the movie, and it's like stuff that you would never put in a movie.
Well, and that would have been when Singer was still fully named, like running that, right? Brian Singer.
Yeah.
Who by the time I saw
whatever happened to
movie,
that guy?
Right. So by the time I saw it, I think his name had already been removed, or he was already. He's not the director that finished it out.
Right.
And deep down, I'm just going to hope that Sacha Baron Cohen quit because fuck Brian Singer. Dude, it's gross.
All right, I got our question from Zach McLernan. Settle in, guys.
You
The
like a
TV
chair?
dudes are taken to the gods of TV, who for some reason are the Fonz, Ted Danson, Andre Brower, Lucy Lawless, Gillian Anderson, and Viola Davis. Damien Lindelof is there as a demigod. I mean, I'm there for a lot of that, to be honest. That's all right. They state you have proven yourself as TV critics and be welcomed into the pantheon of TV heaven. However, in order to ascend, an act of contrition must be performed. You must give up that which you love the most. As such, one of the shows following must be erased from all existence, and the rest will be remade as anime. Cringe, I know. Your choices are Lost, Breaking Bad, The Wire, The Leftover, and Terriers. Should you refuse, your memories of TV will be erased, and looking at TV will resort in white noise and blank images. Choose wisely. All right. So
What's
you
the list again?
You have to erase either Lost, Breaking Bad, The Wire, The Leftovers, and Terriers. This is an easy choice for
never
everybody
seen The
but Grant.
Leftovers.
I could chuck like 3 of those. To be honest with you. Like The Wire, I'm holding on to. Breaking Bad, I'm holding on to. But I've never seen The Leftovers. I've never seen Terriers. And
Okay,
then,
you need to fix that right away.
Terriers,
then-
Lost is great, but I don't. They'd all be.
Lost is like, I just saw the catch up, and then the last episode, I was like, all right, I saw this Asian dude die like 5 times and come back. I was like, I don't know what's
They all go
happening
to the
here.
Unitarian basement,
And now they're
and they-
fighting a cloud. I don't understand what's happening.
This is too easy. I'm going to flip it.
Okay.
You can keep one of these shows. The other ones are getting erased.
There we go.
So
right,
which
all
of
right.
these do you
Keeping
keep?
The Wire.
Keeping The Wire.
Yes.
All right.
I'm
that's-
with you. I'd keep The Wire.
Man.
The Amsterdam season alone, dude.
Yes.
See, the throwing in Terriers makes it mean for me. Like, that's my favorite show ever. But against 5 seasons of The Wire or all of Breaking Bad, it definitely comes down to Breaking Bad and The Wire for me.
Breaking Bad.
So
I
we
think
get
it's
to,
like
we get to
hands
keep
down.
one, and one we get to keep, but it's anime.
Oh, no, the rest
Yes.
all turn
Oh, the
anime.
rest all turn anime?
Yeah.
Yes.
Although Breaking Bad anime might not be that bad.
Yeah, that would be
Breaking Bad.
really dope. Yeah.
The Leftovers is weird enough. I'd love to see this. And Terriers, make Terriers in any form. Make Terriers a Saturday morning cartoon. I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But no, not a Saturday morning cartoon, an anime. It's an anime now.
What if they animated it like the Tenacious D show that came out last year?
You can make Terriers as a Flash
Apocalypto,
animation. I'm
where,
going to
where
watch
it was like, it was literally like 3 frames per minute or something like that of like hand-drawn crayon drawings.
You can remake it as puppets. I'm going to watch Terriers again.
Dude, I'd watch the shit out of Terriers.
Can I flip this question?
Yes, yeah.
So, what if it was a one-for-one trade-off, all right? You had to get rid of a show from existence,
Yep.
all right? So you have no memory of the show.
Yep.
But in exchange, you get to watch one of your favorite shows again from new. Like you get that memory erased, but
And then
you
you
can
get to
watch
watch
it
it for
again.
the first time
Terriers.
again.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So like that show that you never get that first experience with, you can have that, but you have to kill another show.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or even better, you get rid of the first show, but then you're guaranteed another 5 amazing seasons of the continuation of the show you pick.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, 5 new seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd kill
Walter's back.
I would kill anything for more terriers. You know this about me. Like I will kill the wire for terriers.
What's the best thing you'd kill for some more terriers?
I mean, I'd kill the wire. That's the best show on TV, and I would kill it to have more terriers.
We proved that in our bracket.
We did.
Yeah.
I'm the only one on earth who would make that decision. I don't think even Ted Griffin or Sean Ryan would make that call.
Oh man, that's tough.
Les, what's the show you'd want more of? I mean, I think you might know a little thing about canceled one-season shows.
Yeah, I want 5 more years in Middleman.
Yeah, what would you kill to get? What would you kill?
Damn.
What show would you sacrifice for 5 more years?
Would you sacrifice Letterkenny?
Oh shit!
Yeah.
What?
I throw away Letterkenny.
I'm sitting here debating if I would sacrifice Night Court.
Oh,
I don't think I would.
Interesting.
I don't think I would. It's too many years in Night Court.
What about if you could kill the 1 season of Middleman forever and get more seasons of Night Court?
Nope.
No, not even on its prime.
Nope.
Okay, all right.
Corey, you got one yet?
I'm sorry, this is a 1-season show that it's purely psychotic and no one's probably heard of it, but I'm going to throw it out there
Les
anyway.
has heard of it, I promise.
This is the show called, it used to come on Fuse TV, I think, at the time. It's called Kung Fu. And, got him.
Oh, you stumped Les.
Got him. Got him. And it ties into the Wu-Tang stuff. So there's the show. It used to come on, like I said, Fuse, I think, and then they got bought out by somebody. I think it went to G4 or something like that. And it was basically just old kung fu films, and they would like have crazy editing in it, and then like put like hip hop over it, and then they would have rappers come in that were sounded like Tommy Boy because it was a Tommy Boy production who Wu-Tang I think got rejected by at one point, and they went to Loud Records. And basically, it's just that, and they bring in like legit rappers. So there's parts where like Craig Mack, the RZA comes in at some point. Quentin Tarantino has like some kind of rumored thing to do with it, and so there's like all this like hip hop underground stuff, which I love, and then it's old kung fu flicks, which I love. So it's just like, all right, I love this.
Looks amazing, man. There's 3 seasons of this.
No, it's 10 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 10 episodes.
It's like British
There's like
seasons.
De La Soul, Africa Bambaataa, Biz Marquee.
It's insane.
Man.
So you're watching and you're listening to people's voices.
Queen Latifah.
That's
I love
amazing.
it. So I would love to get more seasons of that. I'd give up Breaking Bad for that.
F-A-U-X, Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I think like the whole series, if I'm not mistaken, is on YouTube. So people listening, if you want to go check it out,
All right.
I encourage you to buy it. Give these people money so they make more. But go check it out on YouTube.
Gnarls Barkley did a collaborative short film with them.
Oh wow.
That's nuts. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're tracking all of this.
Kyle, we haven't had your sacrifice yet.
So I think I would probably go the easy answer would be more of like legit BBC Top Gear with like Clarkson, Hammond, and May.
Of course.
Stig returning, Star in the Car coming back, like all of it, like all the original stuff.
What British show would you kill to get this?
Oh shit!
Because it has to be one of your beloved British
Is Luther
shows.
gone?
Oh,
You know what? I was thinking a second ago, I'd get rid of Luther for more Sherlock.
really?
More Cumberbatch Sherlock?
Interesting.
Or would I get rid of Sherlock for more Luther?
Yeah,
There
so
we
that
go.
makes more sense.
Yeah.
I don't
More
know.
peanut butter, less chocolate, man.
But there is a lot of there's a lot of Luther out there. I might give up Downton Abbey for
Really?
yeah.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
like fucking so psyched for this movie coming up. Shit's going down.
I have not seen a single episode of that show, man. Well, no, when it first started popping, I wasn't in the country. I was overseas, so it's
Yeah.
like everybody's like, "Oh man, Downtown Abbey's the thing." I thought people were saying like Downtown Abbey, like a chick named Abby that goes downtown. So I was like, "What does this have to do with like British people in the Victorian era or
I
whatever
would
it
have
is?"
watched Downtown Abbey.
Yeah,
Downton Abbey, not my thing.
Let me sell you on Downton Abbey. So the show, every episode starts, it tries to explain like the social situation. This person's a servant. This person's a rich person. Da da da. And then they get to like they meet in a hallway, and then somebody says something like, "Oh, you have a fleck of dust on your blouse," and because you've been explained the social situation, you know that actually means what the fuck, or like don't be stepping, or like crazy shit. Like every scene has like subtext in it. So you're constantly going around like, no, they didn't say that, or like biting your. I'm not selling this for anybody.
No,
I mean, I've seen
But people are being like gentle,
British.
I've
gentle
seen
with
like
each other.
clips and like Professor McGonagall's being snooty. I'm like, I guess this is great, but I don't. Okay, this seems interesting. But I guess it's great, and people affairs happen, and
People
stuff
clearly
like
love
that.
it. I don't understand.
Hand-holding affairs, like it's all like so, just like really quaint. But then you're like, oh,
So I
You showed that bitch your ankle.
yeah, someone I'm very very close
Flinched and we
to.
sat quietly in the room for 20 minutes.
Someone I'm very very close to loved Downton Abbey, and she's like, "We're going to see this movie." And I'm
Yep,
like, "Shit."
I'm going to end up seeing this movie.
And so
Ooh, I'm
I need
sorry.
a primer. And Master Pancake, the guys who mock things,
Oh,
are doing
shit.
the Downton Abbey like clip show of all of the TV show and mocking it. And I'm like, so I got to stick to that. And I'm like, this is a good way for me to introduce this, right? She's like, yeah, great. So I got my primer.
Downton Abbey's where we got Legion.
That's weird.
What's his face?
yeah.
Especially
Oh,
because
yeah, Dan Stevens
The
came off that.
Beast.
Yeah.
Dan Stevens was completely different on Downton Abbey. Like he was kind of
You didn't have psychic powers in that?
Now he
No-
only
no
has
psychic
one spear,
power. You're
not selling the
almost
show.
nuts.
no American accent. Yeah.
If there's no psychic powers, I don't know, man.
Funny
Isn't Ygritte in that show too from Game of Thrones? The redheaded girl. She's like a maid or
Yes, she is.
something.
She's
Okay.
not one of the main cast, but I think she's like
Crazy.
on there for a season and then maybe reoccurring.
Okay.
It's funny. A lot of the actors on this show, if they didn't leave, like they are mostly just known for this show. Like there was the one guy who was in the Monuments Men, who's like Lord Grantham. He's the father, the patriarch of the whole thing.
Is there like a lead butler? I've seen the movie trailer a few times.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
then
dude
there's-
mostly known from this?
I think so. Yeah, I haven't
Or
seen him in
does
much
he also
other
play
stuff.
Alfred somewhere? I don't know.
It's,
I don't want to
he-
typecast as a butler, but
He
it
looks
happens.
well, I mean, he's wearing the costume, but
Yeah.
he's like what Alfred should look. Not like a handsome British guy who's been a villain in like 20 other movies.
Well, that was an interesting diversion to Downton Abbey. I did not expect.
Yeah.
That's the first time we've talked about Downton Abbey on this show
Ever.
in like 300 episodes.
I feel like I've gotten a Downton Abbey moment.
We
for,
should-
like,
we
the
usually
last
kinda-
season.
we
We
usually
should
cut your mic
do
off.
a TV movie recap episode where we watch the Sense8 movie, the Downton Abbey movie, and the Deadwood movie.
I love it. There you go. I love it.
and the Sex and the City
And the
movies.
Sex and the City movies.
And the
Both of them.
Entourage movie.
Oh God!
Oh,
why?
man.
Why would you do that?
You've done this to yourselves.
The best torture to me
And
in
the
all
Lethal
of-
Weapon movie
in all of
that they
Good
made
Place.
about Lethal Weapon the series, not the original Lethal
I
Weapon.
think in The Good Place, one of their hell tortures is explaining the plot of the Entourage movie to Shakespeare.
Yeah, yeah,
Hell.
yeah.
That's how they're torturing William Shakespeare.
And what it's got to be is we start with Downton Abbey and then we end with the Entourage movie.
Yes. I think Sense8 is a great palate cleanser to
Yeah.
the bro-ness of the Entourage movie,
Yeah,
I bet.
yeah. All right. Well, that might happen, or Kyle might have ruined everything by mentioning the Entourage movie. Because I don't know. I'm already watching another season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know if I want to watch that too. All right. That's it for us this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can find us over at patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us a buck an episode. Help us keep the lights on here. I mean, we can pay our electric bills. I don't want to make it sound like it's desperate. But
Yeah.
we'd help. It helps us out. Helps us keep up with these 6,000 streaming networks that we have to worry about, which is a subject we'll be talking about in the next episode. And yeah, I want to thank Korey for coming out.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Les.
Thank you, Randy.
And until next time.
TV Dude's out. You know what? We should probably throw that to Corey.
All right.
What's happening? Oh.
That's our sign off.
Oh.
We didn't warn you. So
Yeah, surprise.
TV Dude's out.
Oh, hey, TV Dude's out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.